Your brain is locked in a vault of silence and darkness. It is sealed inside your skull, never directly experiencing the outside world. So, how do you see a sunrise or hear a melody? The answer lies with your senses. Your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are the portals. They are the specialized hardware that translates the world's raw data, light waves, air vibrations, chemical molecules, into the only language the brain understands, electrochemical signals. This stream of information flows along your nerves, a constant river of electrical spikes. Your reality is not the world as it is, but a story told by these signals, a grand illusion constructed moment by moment inside your head. It's an elegant, seamless show that feels utterly real. But this show has its limits. Our perception is not a perfect video recording of the world. It is more like a clever edit, a summary crafted for survival. Consider the simple fact that what you see is not instantaneous. It takes time for light to hit your retina, for signals to travel to the back of your brain, and for all that information to be processed. Your brain cleverly papers over this delay, so you feel like you are living in the present. It constantly makes predictions about what will happen next, filling in the gaps to create a smooth, continuous experience. This internal model of the world is incredibly useful, but it is just that, a model. It is not the territory itself. We can easily see the gaps in our perception by looking at illusions. Take the checker shadow illusion. A cylinder casts a shadow over a checkerboard, making one light square appear much darker than another dark square outside the shadow. In reality, both squares are the exact same shade of gray. Your brain, however, automatically adjusts for the shadow, making an assumption that the square in the shadow must be lighter in reality. It changes the data before you even see it. Similarly, audio illusions like the shepherd tone can make you hear a scale that seems to be endlessly rising or falling. These are not flaws in our senses, they are features, shortcuts the brain takes to make sense of a complex world quickly. These shortcuts reveal a profound truth. We only experience a tiny fraction of what is actually out there. The slice of the electromagnetic spectrum we call visible light is minuscule. We cannot see the infrared light that snakes emit, the ultraviolet light that bees use to find flowers, or the radio waves that carry our conversations across the city. Our ears are deaf to the high-frequency calls of bats and the low-frequency rumbles of elephants. The world is awash with information, a symphony of signals that our biological hardware is simply not built to detect. We are living in a filtered reality, and the filters are our own senses. What if we could change our biological filters? This is the core idea of biohacking our senses. It is not about replacing our humanity, but about expanding it. Technology offers us a way to upgrade our existing sensory toolkit, to perceive the world with greater depth and detail than ever before. Think of it as giving your brain new and improved data streams. For sight, this is already becoming a reality. Imagine contact lenses that don't just correct your vision, but grant you the ability to see in the dark. These aren't science fiction. Prototypes using materials like graphene can detect a broader spectrum of light, including infrared, effectively giving a user natural night vision. The upgrades extend beyond just seeing what is already there. Augmented reality overlays could soon become a common feature, integrated directly into our vision through smart lenses or glasses. Imagine a surgeon seeing a patient's vital signs hovering in their field of view during an operation, or an engineer looking at a broken machine and seeing a digital diagram overlaid on top of it, highlighting the faulty part. This technology doesn't just enhance our perception, it merges digital information with our physical reality. Our sense of sight becomes a dynamic interface, a way to interact with data as naturally as we interact with a physical object. The world becomes richer, layered with information that was previously confined to a screen. Hearing, too, is ripe for an upgrade. We are surrounded by sounds we cannot perceive. Bio-integrated microphones could allow us to tune our hearing as easily as we adjust the volume on a stereo. We could isolate a single conversation in a loud, crowded room, filtering out all the background noise. We could extend our hearing range to listen to the ultrasonic chatter of rodents or the deep infrasonic calls of whales. This would open up a whole new acoustic world. We could diagnose engine problems just by listening to their subtle, high-frequency vibrations, or detect the low-frequency rumbles that often precede earthquakes, giving us a natural, early warning system built right into our bodies. And what about our sense of touch? For most of our lives, touch is confined to the surface of our skin. But what if we could feel things that are far away or incredibly small? Electronic skin, or e-skin, is a stretchable, flexible material embedded with sensors that can detect pressure, temperature, and even chemicals. When applied to a prosthetic limb, it can give an amputee a sense of touch, allowing them to feel the texture of a loved one's hand or the warmth of a cup of coffee. But we can take it further. A surgeon could wear e-skin gloves and feel the delicate tissues inside a patient's body during robotic surgery, providing a level of feedback that is currently impossible. Enhancing our existing senses is just the beginning. The truly mind-bending frontier of biohacking is the creation of entirely new senses. Our brains are remarkably flexible, a quality known as neuroplasticity. They are built to interpret incoming data streams regardless of their source. If we can feed the brain new types of information in a consistent way, it will learn to make sense of it. It will learn to perceive it. This opens the door to sensory abilities that nature never granted to humans. We could, for example, develop a sense of magnetoreception, just like migratory birds or sea turtles. A small vibrating implant could buzz differently depending on which way is north. At first, this sensation might feel strange, like a phone vibrating in your pocket. But over time, the brain would learn to interpret this signal not as a vibration, but as a direct perception of direction. You would simply feel where north is, as intuitively as you feel the ground beneath your feet. This internal compass would fundamentally change how we navigate our world. You would never be lost again. You would have a constant underlying awareness of your orientation on the planet, a new layer of perception woven into your consciousness. It would be less of a tool and more of an extension of your own body, a sixth sense granted by technology. We could also learn to see with sound, a form of human echolocation. Some blind individuals have already taught themselves this skill, making clicking sounds with their mouths and interpreting the returning echoes to build a mental map of their surroundings. Technology could make this sense available to everyone. A device could emit ultrasonic pulses, far beyond the range of human hearing, and translate the returning echoes into vibrations on the skin or subtle auditory cues. Your brain would learn to transform these patterns into a rich, three-dimensional image of the world. You could navigate a dark room or sense an approaching object from behind, seeing the shape of the world through sound waves. Another possibility is a new form of thermoreception, or the ability to see heat. Imagine wearing a shirt woven with temperature-sensing threads. These threads could be connected to a grid of tiny vibrating motors against your skin. The pattern and intensity of the vibrations could represent the thermal landscape around you. You would feel the heat signature of a person walking into a room. You could feel where a cup of hot tea was left on a table, or sense the cold draft from a poorly sealed window. This is not just seeing heat through a camera. It is a direct sensory experience, your skin becoming a thermal eye that perceives the invisible world of heat energy all around you. As we stand on the cusp of this sensory revolution, we must navigate profound ethical questions. The promise of overcoming biological limitations is immense. For someone who is blind or deaf, sensory-enhancing technologies are not just an upgrade. They are a restoration, a bridge back to the world. But where do we draw the line between therapy and enhancement? If we can give a blind person a form of sight, why not give a sighted person infrared vision? This raises a challenging question. Could creating a new class of sensory haves inadvertently create a new form of disability for those who remain have-nots? Our biology could become another dimension of social and economic inequality. The issue of access is central to this debate. Who will be able to afford these sensory upgrades? If they are available only to the wealthy, we risk creating a future where society is split between the biologically enhanced and the natural. This could deepen existing divides, creating a world where some people perceive a richer, more detailed reality than others. The implications for everything from education to employment are staggering. Fairness and equity must be at the forefront of this conversation. We need to consider how to make these transformative technologies accessible to all, ensuring they serve to unite us rather than separate us into different perceptual tribes. Realistically, widespread consumer adoption of these technologies is likely a decade or more away, starting with medical applications and gradually moving into the consumer market. Initially, options will be expensive and limited, perhaps focused on non-invasive wearables like advanced AR glasses or sensory vests. As the technology matures and costs decrease, we might see more integrated options, like smart contact lenses or subtle implants. The path to becoming a biohacked society will be gradual, a slow and steady integration of technology into our bodies and lives, giving us time to adapt socially and ethically to these new capabilities. It will not happen overnight. Ultimately, the prospect of biohacking our senses is about more than just seeing in the dark or feeling magnetic north. It is about expanding the very definition of what it means to be human. By feeding our brains new streams of data, we could unlock new forms of creativity, science, and art. How would music change if we could hear ultrasonic frequencies? What kind of art would we create if we could see in polarized light? These new senses would give us new paints for our canvas and new notes for our symphony. We are on the verge of consciously guiding our own evolution, of writing the next chapter in the story of human perception. The future of reality is not something we will just see. It is something we will build.